ancient army of warriors has been quietly conquering the world. Wherever small battalions of China's famous terracotta warriors are exhibited, they win over a new legion of fans.
For over 2,000 years, they stood in silence, an army of clay soldiers frozen in time, guarding the tomb of China's first emperor. The Terracotta Army has always been one of archaeology's greatest wonders, each warrior carved with haunting precision, each face different from the next. But behind their lifeless eyes, an ancient secret has waited, untouched, unseen, and unimagined. For centuries, historians believed these statues were symbols of power, a grand tribute to immortality. Yet in 2025, a new discovery shattered that belief. Deep beneath the burial site, researchers uncovered hidden chambers sealed for millennia, chambers that held something far beyond art or ceremony. What they found inside sent shockwaves through the scientific world and raised a question no one was prepared to answer. Because this time, the evidence suggests the Terracotta Army wasn't just built to guard a dead emperor, but to protect something far more extraordinary, something that could change how we understand ancient China, and perhaps human history itself. If you want to uncover more shocking discoveries and hidden truths from history, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, because what comes next will take you inside these secret chambers and reveal the mystery that has baffled historians for centuries. From the carefully crafted faces of the warriors to the sealed tunnels buried beneath them, we're about to explore the discovery that is rewriting history, piece by piece. This is the story of the Terracotta Army, as you've never seen it before. Historical context: the Terracotta Army. Long before modern China emerged from centuries of dynastic cycles, civil wars, and revolutionary upheavals, a single man laid the foundation of what would become one of the most enduring civilizations in human history. His name was Ying, and in 221 BCE, after a relentless campaign of conquest and consolidation, he proclaimed himself Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China. In doing so, he ushered in a new era, one where, for the first time, the fragmented warring states were brought under a single rule with a standardized system of laws, currency, writing, and infrastructure. But Qin Shi Huang's ambitions extended far beyond political unification. He wanted something far greater. He wanted immortality. The emperor was obsessed with conquering death. He summoned court magicians and alchemists to seek out the fabled elixir of life, dispatched fleets to mythical lands in search of gods, and built massive structures to appease the heavens. His court became a center for occult experimentation and mystical rituals. Yet even as he pursued physical immortality, he was also preparing a far more material and enduring solution: a vast subterranean kingdom, built to mirror his imperial court and ensure his dominion in the afterlife. If he could not escape death, he would rule it. Hidden beneath a hill in what is now Lintong district in Xi'an, Shanxi province, Qin Shi Huang ordered the construction of a necropolis so immense and secretive that even today, large portions of it remain unexcavated. The heart of this complex is said to be a burial chamber surrounded by flowing rivers of mercury, guarded by deadly traps and protected from looters by layers of earth and silence. But what the emperor left to stand watch over his eternal rest is what has truly captivated the world: the Terracotta Army. In 1974, over 2 millennia after Qin's death, a group of farmers drilling a well inadvertently unearthed shards of pottery. What they had discovered, buried just beneath their fields, was the edge of something monumental. Archaeologists soon confirmed that these fragments belong to life-sized clay warriors, part of an underground military formation unlike anything seen before. As the excavation expanded, it revealed row upon row of soldiers, archers, cavalry, chariots, and horses, all crafted in meticulous detail and arranged in battle formation. It was an army frozen in time, yet pulsing with purpose. The Terracotta Army, now one of the most iconic archaeological discoveries of the 20th century, comprises an estimated 8,000 soldiers, 130 chariots, and over 600 horses, along with officials, acrobats, musicians, and even strongmen. Each figure is unique. No two faces are alike. Sculpted from local clay and once painted in vibrant colors, their armor, hairstyles, and postures reveal a precise hierarchy of roles and ranks. Some warriors bear commanding expressions, others wear calm determination. Their hands once held real weapons, bronze swords, crossbows, and spears, many of which remain sharp to this day. The scale is staggering, but the craftsmanship and realism are what continue to astonish historians and scientists alike 50 years later. 3 primary pits have been unearthed to date, each offering insight into the organization and symbolism of the Emperor's eternal forces. Pit number 1, the largest and most famous, holds columns of infantry and chariots, suggesting a powerful frontal assault formation. Pit number 3, smaller and more enclosed, is believed to represent a command center, with a group of high-ranking officers standing around a chariot. But it is pit number 2, partially excavated and often overlooked, that holds the greatest strategic diversity. It contains kneeling and standing archers, elite cavalry, armored units, and chariots arranged with what appears to be tactical precision. A suggestion that this was a specialized unit, not just symbolic, but meant to function in a military sense even in the afterlife. What scholars have come to realize over the last 5 decades is that the Terracotta Army was not merely ceremonial. It was a militarized vision of eternity. Qin Shi Huang did not just wish to be remembered. He intended to remain in control, in command, and in absolute authority, even beyond the grave. The mausoleum was not just a tomb. It was a replica of his empire, a ghostly domain staffed by an eternal bureaucracy, guarded by clay soldiers who would never age, rebel, or disobey. For decades, it was believed that the full scope of the Terracotta Army had been understood. But archaeology, like history, is never complete. As recent discoveries like the 2025 unearthing of a rare figure in Pit 2 remind us, the tomb still holds mysteries that challenge long-accepted narratives. Beneath the carefully carved lines of armor and the silent expressions of clay lie deeper truths about power, legacy, fear, and the human desire to outlast time itself. The Terracotta Army has always been a monument to Qin's obsession with order and permanence. But perhaps what it conceals is just as profound as what it reveals. Focus on pit number 2, function and excavation history. While pit number 1 often captures the most attention with its immense scale and dramatic visual impact, it is pit number 2 that has steadily become the most intellectually fascinating and strategically revealing of the 3 primary excavation sites in the Terracotta Army complex. Frequently overlooked in favor of the infantry-dominated expanse of Pit 1, Pit 2 has quietly emerged as a crucial key to understanding not only the vastness, but also the sophistication and subtlety of Qin Shi Huang's vision for his subterranean army. Where Pit 1 showcases sheer military power, rows upon rows of infantry in rigid battle formation, Pit 2 tells a very different story. Here, the emphasis is not on quantity, but on functionality and complexity. Covering approximately 6,000 square meters, Pit 2 is smaller than its counterpart, yet contains a diverse mix of military units that suggest a more layered and strategic design. Within its confines are kneeling and standing archers, cavalrymen mounted on saddled horses, armored infantry, and several four-horse war chariots, all arranged in groupings that hint at specific battlefield tactics. These arrangements were not merely decorative. The layout of Pit 2 demonstrates a clear logic based on the tactical doctrines of the Qin military. Unlike the uniform lines of Pit 1, where foot soldiers stand in endless rows, Pit 2 features a more flexible and compartmentalized organization. Archers are positioned in staggered formations, allowing for both offensive and defensive firing angles. Cavalry and chariots occupy central or flanking positions, suggesting mobile strikes or encirclement maneuvers. In essence, it is a miniature battlefield, meticulously planned with extraordinary military intelligence and discipline. Excavation in Pit 2 has advanced far more slowly and deliberately than in Pit 1. Digging began in the early 1990s, but was paused in several sections, not due to disinterest, but because of the delicate condition of the artifacts uncovered. Unlike many statues in Pit 1, numerous figures in Pit 2 retained faint traces of their original pigments, reds, blues, greens, and blacks, that had survived 2,000 years underground. Early attempts to remove these figures caused rapid oxidation and fading of the colors. Consequently, archaeologists made the difficult but forward-thinking choice to suspend large-scale excavation until improved conservation methods were available, a decision that would later influence the future of archaeological science in China. Since 2015, with the development of advanced preservation techniques and non-invasive surveying tools, work in Pit 2 has resumed, this time with far greater precision. Teams now use ground-penetrating radar, 3D mapping, and micro-excavation grids, enabling them to examine the pit layer by layer without harming the fragile paint or the structural integrity of the statues. Even the pit's environment is carefully controlled, with regulated humidity, temperature, and light exposure to protect both terracotta and pigment. The results of this cautious approach have been remarkable. Researchers have uncovered better preserved horses, chariot fragments, and intricately detailed warrior statues that rival or even surpass the craftsmanship of Pit 1. Particularly striking is the refinement of certain figures. Their facial expressions, armor designs, and poses show artistic variation, suggesting that some sculptors were granted more creative freedom or were commissioned to produce statues for higher-ranking military roles. These nuances deepen our understanding of Qin-era practices, indicating that not all warriors were crafted equally. Some were intended to represent elite troops or command units, reflecting a hierarchical structure even in the emperor's envisioned afterlife. Moreover, the very presence of chariots alongside cavalry and archers in one pit reinforces the idea that Pit 2 was conceived with mobility and command in mind. This wasn't merely a static guard detail, it was a dynamic force capable of flanking maneuvers, direct confrontation, and coordinated defense. Unlike the mass ranks of Pit 1 or the compact, possibly ceremonial layout of Pit 3, Pit 2 offers a composite image of a real battlefield, scaled down yet incredibly detailed, capturing the complexity of military science during the Qin dynasty. In many ways, Pit number 2 stands as a silent tribute to the strategic genius that unified China. It reflects not just the emperor's obsession with immortality, but his deep trust in structure, organization, and martial precision. Every statue, every unit, every measured placement was part of a grander logic, one built not just to honor the past, but to prepare for eternity. The 2025 Discovery, Description, and Context. In early 2025, after nearly a decade of meticulous excavation and conservation in Pit number 2, Archaeologists from the Shaanxi Provincial Institute for Archaeology made what is now regarded as one of the most significant finds in the modern history of the Terracotta Army. A high-ranking general, astonishingly intact, exquisitely detailed, and unlike any figure unearthed in over 30 years. The discovery occurred during a careful trenching operation on the northern edge of Pit Number 2, an area previously thought to hold only cavalrymen and lower-ranking officers. As the team brushed away centuries of compacted soil, the top of an elaborate headdress emerged, tall, ornate, and finely carved. It was the first sign that this warrior was exceptional. Further excavation revealed more. A broad chest protected by layered, ribboned armor, hands clasped solemnly in a commanding pose, and a face etched with deep, purposeful lines exuding unmistakable authority. He was accompanied by 2 officers, 5 infantrymen, 3 terracotta horses, and 2 chariots, arranged in a formation clearly signaling leadership and command. This was no ordinary warrior. Experts confirmed, based on the uniform, posture, and positioning among key units, that this was a general, only the 10th such figure discovered among the 8,000 known warriors, and the first in Pit Number 2 since the 1990s. What made him truly extraordinary was the craftsmanship. His armor was carved in meticulous detail, each plate distinct and symmetrical, adorned with ornamental knots and tassels still visible after centuries underground. His facial features, wide-set eyes, a stern brow, a carved mustache, showed the individuality characteristic of every terracotta figure, yet conveyed a gravitas unique to a commanding presence. Even more remarkable was the survival of pigments. Traces of vermilion red and lapis blue remained on his armor and robe, colors typically reserved for the most elite ranks. Unlike many Pit 1 figures, which lost their hues to oxidation during excavation, this general had been protected by a pocket of silt that preserved some of the original paintwork, allowing conservators to document and maintain remnants of his once vivid finish. The discovery has reignited scholarly debates over Qin military hierarchy and burial symbolism. Was this general based on a real historical figure, or an idealized embodiment of power meant to command an eternal army? While no inscriptions were found on the statue, its scale and location suggest a man of supreme importance. Based on its location, we believe this figure was likely the highest-ranking military commander of this unit, said Jui Hong, head of the excavation project. Many now argue he may have been intended to lead Qin Shi Huang's chariot forces in the afterlife, a role reserved for only the most trusted elite. Dr. Jui described the discovery as a turning point in our understanding of Pit 2's strategic function and the Emperor's vision of eternal military strength. Janice Shujian Li, an expert in Chinese funerary art and visiting fellow from Oxford, added, "This general changes everything we assumed about power distribution within the army. He wasn't just guarding the tomb, he was leading it." The 2025 discovery dramatically elevates the status of Pit Number 2. Long considered secondary to Pit 1, it is now evident that this section of the mausoleum housed a formidable elite force led by a commanding figure whose rediscovery is rewriting the legacy of one of history's most enigmatic emperors. Craftsmanship and symbolism. The newly uncovered general is more than just a rare military figure. He is a masterclass in artistry, symbolism, and imperial propaganda. His physical features and the precision with which he was sculpted reflect the Terracotta Army's broader themes of authority, permanence, and divine order. Every element of his design communicates status, strength, and loyalty, not only to the first emperor Qin Shi Huang, but to the very concept of empire itself. At first glance, the general's size is striking. Slightly larger than life, He stands at nearly 2 meters tall, emphasizing physical dominance, a trait often used in ancient Chinese art to reflect power. His armor is unlike that worn by lower-ranking soldiers. While most infantrymen wear simple lamellar protection, his armor is layered, ribboned, and decorated with embossed patterns that resemble scaled dragons, symbols of imperial strength and celestial order. Perhaps most intriguing is his headgear. The general wears a tall, winged headdress with delicately curved ends, a style previously seen only in fragments from other elite statues. The headdress was historically associated with high command and nobility, its elaborate shape indicating not just military rank, but proximity to the emperor himself. This visual language of authority was designed to be instantly recognizable, even to the spirits believed to guard the afterlife. His hands are clasped calmly at his front, a posture that combines discipline with vigilance. Unlike some figures frozen mid-march or mid-draw, this general stands in composed readiness, a sentinel rather than a warrior in motion. The sculptors of Qin Shi Huang's mausoleum were trained not just in ceramics, but in courtly symbolism. They knew how to carve meaning into every gesture. Traces of pigment further support his elite status. Under microscopic analysis, remnants of vermilion red, azurite blue, and malachite green were found on his armor and sleeves. These were no ordinary colors. They were mineral-based pigments reserved for high-ranking figures. In ancient China, red symbolized vitality and good fortune. Blue stood for immortality and depth, and green represented renewal. These hues together created a color-coded signal of command, an eternal readiness. The level of craftsmanship is staggering. His facial features, sharply defined cheekbones, a firm jaw, subtly furrowed brows, speak to the Qin sculptor's skill in human portraiture. Though the terracotta warriors are not believed to be exact replicas of real individuals, they were designed with enough variation to suggest individuality and realism. This general embodies that philosophy, human in detail, but divine in presence. In many ways, this figure isn't just a statue. He's a message, an embodiment of order, strength, and total loyalty that extended beyond life. Through this sculpture, Qin Shi Huang's vision of a perfect, unshakable empire is preserved in clay and silence. The general's pose, dress, and placement all point to one unmistakable truth. In the world of the first emperor, power was eternal and carefully staged for all eternity. What does this tell us about the world Qin Shi Huang ruled in life? It paints a picture of a ruler who commanded not just armies, but an entire vision of order, hierarchy, and power, so meticulously structured that even in death, his world was recreated in miniature. It speaks to a society that valued military precision, artistry, and symbolism, where the emperor's authority extended far beyond life itself. But it also raises a fascinating question. Should archaeologists ever open the emperor's sealed tomb? Or are some secrets better left undisturbed, preserved for posterity? There's a tension between our curiosity and the need to protect history from irreversible damage, a dilemma that challenges us to think carefully about the balance between discovery and preservation. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.